In this video, we're going to walk through some of the online test import options that are available as of the spring 2021 conference season. As you've probably seen in other videos, there are up to 3 online test results available per contest now, and the professional development test could be considered a 4th. That's a little bit of a specialized type of test, and it can only be done a certain way. So there's really 3 different online tests you can set up. Basic concept is just to adjust your online test names, make sure the maintenance page configuration and the scoring contest rules match for every contest, and then you'll be ready to export some files and try importing some stuff. Let's jump over to the CMS and take a look at where those options are. If I go into the maintenance screen, I have renamed mine. I've got 3 of these options here: online test label, online test label 2, and online test label 3. The first one is I've got set to be called online test. The second one I've changed. I think when we send this, normally it's online test, extra test 1, and extra test 2. I changed my second one here to be called technical test. You can change this to whatever you want. Technical exam, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to leave mine called technical test. And the idea is we use these for every contest that we want to have one of these online tests. You can see down here at the bottom the professional test label is called professional development test. You could theoretically change that as well if you wanted to, but I don't know of any reason why anybody would change that since it's sort of a nationally administered test. One other thing I want to show you, let's say you want every single one of your contests to have this online test option in it as one of its skill areas. On the contest functions tab, there's an option here you can use to append that particular item, like the one called online test. I can choose that and add that row to all my contests, and it'll ask me how many points I want it to be by default, and then it would add that scoring rule to every single contest. That may be one you want to use with the professional development test. If you're going to do your professional development test at 100 points and everybody's going to take it, you're going to just add this to every single contest and put it at 100. That's what I've done with mine. If I go back and look at a contest, any of my contests on the scoring tab, I now have a professional development test worth 100 points. And I got there because I just added it at the end of every single contest that I have. So it's there on every single one. Let me take a look at 2 contests we're going to try out here. One is medical math. So medical math, I only have one thing. It's one online test worth 1,000 points. I also have the professional development test. That could be up to an additional 100 points I'd have added for that one. And then secondly, I have my crime scene investigation. Criminal justice test. So the criminal justice, I want you to notice I've got online test, and I'm also taking a technical test. So the online test is worth 100 points. The technical test is worth 200 points. And I have all these other things that I could use for my judges to actually score all these other things that the judges score. These are just going to be my 2 particular tests. And then, of course, my professional development test there as well. I might just adjust some of these so I get it down to 1,000 points total. Perfect. All right. So the key, remember, is that whatever naming you use here must match the naming convention you set up back here under maintenance. Online test and technical test, those are the 2 I've got. And so every contest that I want to use those, that's the names I have to use. Now, some of them may not have them both, right? Some of them may only have a couple of them, like this one. This one doesn't have any of those tests. This written test is going to be completely separate. There's no online component for that at all. I'm not doing the technical test, whatever. This one wouldn't work. If I want to use, for this electrical instruction wiring, I want to use an online test, then these words here have to be the same. So I'm going to change this to online test, and now this online test worth 150 points is what would be considered the online importable test for electrical construction. So let's go try out the medical math one. Remember, I've got medical math with just one thing. It's online test. That's all I've got. If I go back to my main menu and use the professional test and online batch entry process here, this is very similar to doing manual scoring, where when you first get here, you need to choose which test type you want. Let's say I'm going to do my online test, and I need to click the Load Contestants button, which will preload all the contestants for any contest that has an online test set up. And then I can choose the particular contest, medical math, and see there are my students. There's their 1,000 points they could get for their medical math test, and that's all set. There's two buttons here for exporting a generic template and importing a generic template. Let me generate one of those, and you can see what's in it. Export generic template. It'll ask if I want to do that, where I'm going to put it on my C drive under the SkillsCMS folder and under Scorecards, and then it's going to use the naming convention for whatever the name of my test is, result template, medical math. If I go look at what's in that file, this is the file that just got created, online results template, medical math. It's just a simple template that says when you want to import some results, this is the format that those results need to be in. I've got my contestant number, I've got my contestant's email, his name, member ID, how many points there are each student got, and total possible. Some of these could be blank, right? Like my students might not know their contestant ID. That's okay. This could be completely blank. The key is the column headings have to match these 6 column headings. If you skip a column, leave something out, it's not going to work. You're not going to be able to import it to type them all in. But if you can format your data from whatever system you're getting it into this layout with these 6 columns, then you can import these results real easy. I have basically just resaved this over on my some other drive here. I think I've got them on my USB stick. Yeah. Online results for medical math. So this is just where let's say I downloaded these results, or I typed them in, or got them from some online test platform or whatever. Same concept. Column headings are the same. And here I've just filled in how many points each student got. And notice my data is real clean because I have contestant numbers and email addresses. You have to import these scores using one or the other. I can either import matching by contestant number or import matching by contestant email. Let's see where that is. When I go back to that screen, let me show you how I got here. I'm going to go to professional test and online test batch entry. I'm going to choose online test for medical math. And now I need to tell it how do I want to match those records when I import them. Match them by contestant number or match by email address. It doesn't matter because my data is clean. I have both. I'm going to say let's match by contestant number. Then I click import generic results. It'll ask me where's my file of those generic results. I'm going to grab that final medical math file where I have put all my results in there. When I import that guy, it's going to tell me it's imported 7 scores from Excel, of which 7 were successfully matched to contestants. Remember, I'm matching by contestant number. So it looked at that Excel file and figured out this is where the contestant numbers were. It matched them up correctly, and it gives me those results. Now, it also realizes that this medical math contest only has one scoring rule. This is the only thing there is. There is a single online test result for my medical math test, and that's it. So it asks me, hey, there appears to only be one scoring rule for this contest. Do you want to apply these rules we just imported, these scores we just imported, as the final manual scores for this contest? In other words, we're not going to be importing some judge's additional scoring of how they did at medical math. This is it. This first student got 905 points in medical math. That's his entire score. So yes, in this case, we do want to use that as the final manual scores for this contest. Once I say yes there, it tells me those online test scores have been tabulated as the manual scoring total. And I can go there and generate a score report. So as long as your contest only has one result, when you import it, and I close that guy down, go back and look over at manual scoring. If I choose medical math, those scores have already been imported. I can just tabulate the winners and get a score report, and it'll tell me here's gold, silver, and bronze, who won what in medical math, because those are the only scores. So if you end up with multiple scores, that doesn't happen automatically. So let's look at another one. If I go to my professional test batch entry and look at my, I have two now, remember, for criminal justice. If I look at online test for criminal justice, I've got these scores. They're going to take one test in one online system, whatever it is. They're going to get a score result for their criminal justice online test. And those same students are also going to take a technical test in criminal justice, and it's worth 200 points. Remember, that's because over here under the contest screen for criminal justice, there are two separate things. There's the online test worth 100, and there's the technical test worth 200. So I have two different online test results available here. And we can import both of them. I've got them both set up. Let me show you what those look like. I've just pre-saved them so you can see what I have. I've got a technical test result, final. And notice in this case, I have a bunch of good contestant numbers, but some of the kids in whatever online system I was using, I don't know what system I used for this, they didn't put their email address in. Maybe they didn't know their email address. They put the email address in wrong, whatever. But as long as they have the contestant numbers, then for my technical test, I'm going to match by contestant number and get those scores. If I look at my online test, this is the other test each student takes. Notice there, those students for that system, whatever that system was, they didn't have any idea. There's no place to even put a contestant number. So once they signed into that LMS system or that class marker or whatever it was, as soon as they signed in with their email address, that's all I get back. It's just email addresses and their results. So I can do it both ways. First, I'm going to import online test by email, and then I'm going to import the technical test matching by contestant number. So let me go. Online test for criminal justice, and this one I wanted to match by email address because that's what I had. When I click import, I'm ready to import my online test results for criminal justice using email to match by. Yep, that's what I want to do. I'll find my online test results. Remember, these file names become critically important now. Online test, not the technical test, but the online test, final results for criminal justice. Grab that dude, successfully imported 9, of which 9 were matched by email address, and those will be used as their scores. Now, since there's other things to be scored here, of course, it didn't ask me that question about, hey, do you want to use these as the final? But there they are. That's what it imported from my Excel. I'm going to do the same exact thing for my technical test, and I'm going to choose criminal justice, but this time I want to match by contestant number, because remember that other system I was using, whatever it was, that other system didn't know emails, it just knew contestant numbers. So for technical test, criminal justice, match by contestant number, import that generic template. Whoops, I clicked the wrong button, sorry. I don't want to export, I want to import. Ready to import technical test for criminal justice using contestant number to match by. Yes, that's what I want. Online, oh, technical test, final, criminal justice, open. Imported 9 scores, of which 9 were successfully matched by those matching email addresses. There's the scores that I had in my Excel. All set. Now, when I go get my, when I do my import of my actual scorecard, remember this test is going to have, this contest is going to have all these other things, right? They're going to do all these other things that the judges are going to fill out on an Excel file. Let's see what that's going to look like. I'm going to go ahead and export an Excel card just for that stuff, for criminal justice. And I'm going to let my judges fill in the details for that. There's my criminal justice scorecard. Now my judges, they don't know anything about my online test or my technical test, so they don't have to put any scores in for these two, because I already uploaded those. My judges just have to fill in all these other scores for whatever they want to give for fingerprinting and for communications exercise and all these things. They're going to give a number of score for that, and they're going to leave these 2 rows blank because I already have those scores. Let me fill these details in right quick. So now I've got some scores saved here. Let me save that scorecard. And when I go to import the scorecard, remember a couple of things have happened. I've already imported my online test batch scores. So when I import my regular scorecard for criminal justice, it's going to tell me, hey, it appears there are already 18 online and professional test batch scores entered for this. Do I want to append all of those to this imported scorecard? Yes, I do. I want to import both the online test and that technical test so that I'll have all those scores here combined together. When I add those and I tabulate the winners and I run the score report, now I can see who won gold, silver, and bronze in criminal justice. But the key thing to notice here is if I choose a contestant, notice that I have a score for the online test, 82 points, and I have a score for the technical test, 168 points, because those scores were imported separately from the scorecard. So the whole idea is it sort of merges your scorecard results from your judges plus the results from online test 1 plus the results from online test 2 all into one total for that particular test. Okay, so we've seen how to export those templates, how to manipulate those Excel files with your own results, just to get them in the right format with the column headings as they are. Import those online test results, and that'll automatically tabulate as manual score totals if that's the only test or the only contest score that there is, something like medical math. And then for the others, you can, of course, import your regular old scorecards. But there's also a new feature I want to review right quick, which is a way to summarize manual scores if you don't want to do your normal scorecard process. So this year in particular, with everybody doing so much virtual, it may be that some of your judges decide there's just no way to do an in-person exam or an in-person contest. And so all of your stuff is going to be handled by 1 or 2 or 3 online tests. And you want to skip the whole judging thing that your judges do. So there's a new feature that'll help you summarize those online tests into one manual scoring result that you can use to generate a scorecard PowerPoint deck with. So let's take a look at how I've got my firefighting contest set up. So firefighting is one where I've got stuff set up, to do ropes and knots and the hose drag event and forcible entry and all these things. And I have an online test and I have a technical test. But let's say this year, because of the COVID restrictions and firefighters are busy and they can't come help, do our contest because they're critical workers, whatever. We're not going to do these in-person activities. We're only going to do the online test and the technical test. So in that case, same basic principles apply. I've got a couple of files set up here. Let me show you my results. I've got my online test results for firefighting and my technical results for firefighting. Let me go ahead and import those. Same way we did a minute ago. I choose online test. I choose firefighting as the contest I want to do. Now my files both just have contestant numbers in them. They don't have any email, so I'm going to match by contestant numbers. Import those results. Grab my online test final for firefighting. 5 are loaded, of which 5 were matched. That's good. 87, 88, 92. Cool, that looks great. Now I want to do the same thing, import my technical test results for firefighting. Matched by contestant number. This one's the one that's worth 200 points for that test. Same concept. Import them. Grab my technical test results final. 5 were imported, of which 5 were matched. That looks great. But the thing is, I don't want to do all those other in-person things, those other scoring rules that a judge would normally score. I just want these 2 scores to be summarized for my total. And that's what this new button does, summarize manual scores. Concept is you pick whichever test it is, doesn't really matter which one in this case. Pick the contest, firefighting, and I'm going to use this summarize manual scores button. And it's going to say, do you want to summarize all the online, however many you've imported, professional tests, everything you've imported here as online professional tests, and use those as the final manual scores for this firefighting contest. Now, in this case, remember I had 2. I had an online test and a technical test. What this is saying is be sure you've imported or entered all the tests. You don't want to summarize after you've only imported 1. I've imported my technical test, and I've imported my online test, and maybe I've imported my professional test if that's something I'm doing at this event. Now I want to summarize all those results to see who won firefighting. And I say yes. It tells me it's calculated online manual scoring results. I'm going to click OK, go back to my home screen and look at the manual scoring option. When I choose firefighting as my contest now, it has added up or summarized all the results from however many of those online tests I did. It's added them all up, and now I can see who wins gold, silver, and bronze. Turns out, bad luck for me, my data ended up with a tiebreaker there, so I'd have to go in and figure out, all right, well, which kid did better on one of the tests, whatever. Maybe I realized this Torian person did better on one test, got one better point, so maybe I'll just change his to 363. Give me a tabulate winners, and now I can see that my tie is broken, and I have a single winner in gold, silver, and bronze in firefighting. So that new feature we just introduced, the ability to let you forcibly summarize all the scores you've imported as a manual scoring result. So to review, lots of options for importing those text scores. Right now, the concept is you do need to get those results into that generic template. You can export the generic template. You can also pretty easily see the generic template here. If you click the question mark button, it'll show you what that looks like. Those are the column headings that you have to have. It's easiest to just export a generic template and create one of those so you don't have to type it all in. You can copy and paste your data into that format, import those guys, use the summarize feature for manual scores if you don't want to do any of your normal stuff. And hopefully that'll help you out getting through this year's virtual events. Thanks for watching.